So I've been asked to find the equation of the following graph. Here's a graph and we need to determine the equation. And really what we're looking at is sine and cosine at this point. And so you need to know that sine of x is always going to look like this. So that's sine of x, y equals sine of x. And y equals cosine of x is always going to look like this. Okay, it's always going to look like that. And that's where cosine starts at a maximum, goes down to a minimum, comes back up. Sine starts at 0, or the axis of symmetry, and goes up through the axis of symmetry, back down and back to the axis of symmetry again. Okay? So, based on those two graphs, we have to start by picking one of them to model this. Now, to me, this starts at a maximum, so I look and say I think that's going to be a cosine equation. Okay? So I say y equals, and I just put cosine. Now, normally it's symmetric. What that means is this is 1, and this is minus 1. Okay? But if I look, this is a 6, and this is a minus 2. So this is a 6 and this is a minus 2. That tells me a couple of things. First of all, it tells me the graph has been shifted up. The graph has been shifted up. The second thing it tells me is it tells me the height of the graph. Okay, the way this guy works is normally y equals cosine x has a coefficient here of 1. What that means, it goes up 1, it goes down 1. It goes up 1, it goes down 1, over and over and over. Okay? Well, this is 6 and this is 2 for a total height of 8. Now, what that tells me is there's some imaginary line, and from that line, it's going to go up 4, down 4, up 4, down 4, up 4, down 4, around this imaginary line of symmetry. So if this is 8, the height of the graph is 4. It's going to go up 4 and it's going to go down 4. Okay? So that's one of the first things that I realize. It's going to go up 4, it's going to go down 4. Okay? The next thing I realize is normally this graph starts at 0 and it goes to 2 pi. That's 1 period. Okay? 1 period. Well, I look here, from the maximum to the maximum, how long does that take? Well, that's pi and that's 0. So I come over here to the side and I say the period to any cosine graph is 2 pi over b. And in the case of my graph, the period is actually pi units. So this is equal to pi. Solve for b. And that gives you b equals 2. And so that's the horizontal multiplier. Okay, that's the horizontal multiplier. So 4 cosine 2x. Now, we're not done. We have one last thing to do, which is this guy has been stretched. It goes up 4, it goes down 4. And it's been shranken, I don't know really how to say that. Being from the South, we say shrunk. And I hope my English teacher's not rolling over in her grave. But anyway, so it's been shrunk horizontally. It's been stretched vertically. And this says it should go to a height of 4 at the top and a height of negative 4 at the bottom. Well, it goes to a height of 6. That's 2 above what I said it should go to. And it should go down to negative 4, but it goes to negative 2, which is 2 above. So this guy's actually been shifted up 2 units. It's been shifted up 2 units. And the way we accomplish that is we tack on a plus 2. Just like in algebra, when you add 2 to a function, it's a vertical shift. Same thing is true in trigonometry. So we get y equals 4 cosine of 2x plus 2. And that's how we write the equation of that. You really need to have had some understanding of these base graphs, and you really have had to have had a really good algebra teacher to get this. So I hope this maybe is helping you a little bit, but we'll see. How about here? Here's one that we can try to play with a little bit. Again, we've been asked to write the equation of the following graph, and they've given us a couple of cycles here. I kind of look and I say, okay, well, it starts here, it ends here. How long is that cycle? That cycle is 3 pi. 3 pi, that's the period. From the minimum to the minimum. We could also go from the maximum to the maximum, should also give us 3 pi. So the period of any sine or cosine graph, the period is always 2 pi over b. And in this case, the period is equal to 3 pi. So we have an algebra equation here. We need to solve this equation for b. Okay? We need to solve this for b. And if we do that, we get b equals 2/3. b equals 2/3. Okay? We need to find a. A is our amplitude. And if you haven't seen this before, these graphs, there's an equation you'll find in most trig books. It says a sine b x minus c plus d. And these are our 4 terms. These are our horizontal and vertical translations. And these are our horizontal and vertical stretches. Okay? So this is my horizontal stretch or shrink. A is my vertical stretch or shrink. Well, I look and I say, okay, well, this is at 4. And this is at -2. And that's a total height of 6. What that means is A is 3. Okay? Because there's going to be some imaginary line of symmetry, and it's going to go up 3 and down 3 and up 3 and down 3. Every time it goes through that line, it's going to be up 3, down 3, up 3, down 3 every time. So that's 3, that's 2/3. Okay, I've got that. That's pretty simple. What else can we do? Well, problem. If this is 3, then it should go to 3. It goes to 4. That's 1 above where I said it should go. Here it should go down to -3. Well, it only goes to -2. That's 1 above where I said it should go. So our D term is a vertical shift of +1. It's been shifted up +1. Okay? Now, I still haven't picked whether this is a sine graph or a cosine graph. So I need to do that. I need to figure out if this is a cosine graph or a sine graph. Now, I'm lazy. I love using cosine graphs because cosine graphs are supposed to start at a peak. And so I can very easily pick one of these peaks and say, oh, look, this peak should be here. Someone moved it to the right. This peak should be here. Someone has moved it to the left. And it doesn't matter which peak you pick because cosine graphs are repetitive. So I'm going to be a lazy bum. I'm going to pick this peak right here. I'm going to say that peak is supposed to be here. And somebody came along and they moved my graph. And how far did they move it? Well, that, whether you can read it or not, says -3 pi over 2. So they moved it 3 pi over 2 to the left. And if you remember from your algebra course, if you've had an algebra course prior to this, when we shift stuff to the left on the x-axis, the sign is always opposite of what we think. And so left 3 pi over 2 is going to be plus 3 pi over 2. Plus 3 pi over 2. So this is a cosine graph that's been shifted left, moved up, and stretched vertically, and stretched horizontally. So stretched vertically, stretched horizontally, moved up, and moved left. Okay, so on to writing our equation. If you take this format, A, B, C, D, and plug in these numbers, you've got your answer. So 3 cosine of 2/3 x plus 3 pi over 2 plus 1. That is the equation of this graph. And that's how you find the equation of a trig function, is just following this format of a base graph and figuring out what these 4 letters mean and what they do. So hopefully if you have to graph trig functions, this helps you kind of figure out how to do that. And if you have any questions, please let me know.